it's not just the road sector where India needs a course correction in policies, it's also the port sector. Now in total we have 218 ports across the country, but there are 12 ports which are termed as major ports, and they seem to do a bulk of the heavy lifting, which means that they are almost always congested. Just like in other infrastructure sectors, there is no shortage of targets. The target for the 12th plan period, in fact, is to double India's port capacity. But as Ruchita Saxena finds out, that will need some serious change in policies, particularly tariff policies.
The Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust in Navi Mumbai, one of the biggest and busiest ports in India. Last year alone, JNPT handled 67 million tons of cargo, representing nearly 50% of the total container cargo that went in and out of India. So intense has been the pressure at the port that it's been forced to work at 113% of its capacity to meet the growing needs, making it among the most congested in the country.
JNPT is one of India's 218 ports. Of these, 12 ports are termed as major ports, which were among the first ports to be built in India. JNPT is the largest solid cargo handling port among them. These 12 government ports account still for nearly 50% of the cargo shipped annually, despite years of efforts to improve our port capacity and spread out the cargo handling more evenly in order to reduce the pressure on ports like JNPT. In the 11th five-year plan, India planned to invest 30,305 crore rupees to achieve a port capacity of 1,276.3 million tons. But it could only achieve 1,172.93 million tons by the end of the plan in the year 2012. For the 12th five-year plan too, ambitious targets have been set to double port capacity to 2,686.66 million tons with an investment outlay of 1.74 lakh crore rupees. One key issue that has prevented the government from meeting capacity addition targets has been arduous process of getting approvals. For instance, port project first needs approval from the Public Investment Board under the Finance Ministry. The file then moves to the Shipping Ministry, from where it is passed on to the Cabinet Committee on Infrastructure. But that's not all. The Expert Committee on Environment needs to sign off on the project, as does the State Pollution Control Board. Security clearances must also be obtained from the Home and Defence Ministries. And finally, the Cabinet Secretary and Intelligence Bureau must also give their approval. But the Shipping Ministry has assured the industry it has worked out new guidelines to streamline processing of security clearance proposals expeditiously without compromising on security aspects.
We have tried to sequence the activities in such a way that the process of clearances, they do not have to wait the inputs from the security agencies. What we do is that after the RFQ proposals have come, we refer the proposals for security agencies for their inputs on those in terms of those companies, but we simultaneously go on with the bidding process.
The chairman of Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust adds that lengthy litigation between port developers and landowners has also been among the reasons that India has failed to meet its port capacity addition targets.
Litigation between the participants of a global tender, or litigation between the landlord port and the private port, that is far less frequent. But whatever litigation has been happening, it has delayed many of our projects too by a couple of years.
But litigation and the delay in clearances is not the only issue holding back the port sector. Private interest in the port sector so far has been muted, with only a handful of private operators like Adani and SR making inroads into the sector. One issue which has kept investors at bay has been the port tariff policy. Port tariffs are currently set and revised annually by the Tariff Authority for major ports. Often the rates set and subsequent revisions are not based on market forces, making it tough for private operators to remain profitable.
The non-major ports do not have these tariff regulations as compared to the major port projects. So perhaps I think the government needs to have a look at why the investors are feeling shy.
talks have been initiated to resolve these complaints. A panel led by Planning Commission member B.K. Chaturvedi had recommended that a level playing field be created for all and that all ports be brought under one central regulatory authority. The panel was also in favor of giving operators more freedom to set rates based on market forces. But intense opposition by states like Gujarat, who have seen private port companies flourish under the state leadership, has forced the central government to rethink the issue. For now, the government is proposing amendments in the Major Ports Act 1963 to give freedom to major ports like JNPT to set their own tariff and provide level playing field among competing public and private ports.
To be able to give this freedom to the operators, we need to amend the Major Port Trust Act, and we have initiated that process. But in the meantime, till that happens, because that will take some time, till that happens, we are in the process of formulating very simplified guidelines for tariff fixation.
And experts feel the move towards market-linked tariffs is essential in order to give a fillip to the sector.
Most of the leading port regimes don't regulate tariff. So possibly as a second step, if we could move to free market, that would be leveling the field between major ports and non-major ports.
As India attempts to smoothen out its port sector policies, time is running out. Demand is projected to reach 1,758 million tons by the year 2017. And unless India meets its port capacity target of 2,686 million tons by then, India's port sector will drift along at best, and government ports like JNPT could continue to face congestion in the year ahead. In Navi Mumbai, Ruchita Saxena, NDTV Profit.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.